Okay, so yesterday we went through we read the kind of introduction and what your task is going to be for this assignment. So that's the first step. And then the next step, what you do is you'd start reading the sources. So we're going to go through each of the three sources, and I'm going to ask you questions along the way. But the key is, now we don't know exactly what the instructions are yet, what specifically you're going to be writing about, but remember, we do have an idea. Up here in the task, it talked about the development of Neanderthal people, all right, how they developed, how they changed. And so that's what we want you to be thinking about as you read each source, how Neanderthal people developed. So let's get into the first source here and just try as best you can. I'm just going to do a little bit each day because I know it's tough to pay attention to these videos if they're long. So I'm going to do one source each day, but I want you to pay attention as I read and think about how Neanderthals developed. Okay, and I'm going to ask you, stop the video and ask you some questions about what we're reading. All right, so here's source one called Neanderthal Man. All right, so first paragraph, early humans. Neanderthals were early people who lived around 200,000 years ago. They were first discovered in Neander Valley in Germany. The valley was named after a German pastor, Joachim Neander. The Neanderthals disappeared about 28,000 years ago. The people who came after Neanderthals became known as Homo sapiens, or people who think. This group includes modern-day humans. It appeared as though Neanderthals had many talents, even though they did not appear smart. Okay, so this first paragraph is kind of the introduction, right? But based on the heading, what were Neanderthal men? That's right. Again, look, those headings give you clues about what the paragraph's going to be about, right? Or usually they tell you exactly what the topic is. So Neanderthal men were early humans. They were the first human beings, all right? So now we're going to get into a little bit of how they developed. So second paragraph or second section is called the first bones. Neanderthal skulls were first discovered in 1829 in Belgium. In 1856, bones of the first Neanderthal man were found. The bones came from the skull, the right arm, the left arm, and the ribs. So keep in mind, Neanderthals did not live in the 1800s. They were, they were like first humans ever. This is just when they discovered bones so they could learn about them. All right. In 1866, a German man named Ernst Haeckel decided an ancient skull belonged to a Homo sapiens man. The thick skull and sloping forehead made Haeckel think this ancient man could not have been very smart. Haeckel was soon proved to be wrong on both counts. Neanderthals were not Homo sapiens, but they were related. People believe Neanderthals were unintelligent and clumsy. So here's a question for you. So when people discover their skulls and they, based on their forehead, the shape of their foreheads, they thought, oh, Neanderthals were not smart. But is this true? No. If you go back and look at it, it says Haeckel was proved to be wrong. Okay? So originally they thought Neanderthals were these dumb caveman type of people, but they weren't. And we're going to find out, as we read more, we're going to find out that they were very smart. Okay. In 1908, an almost complete male skeleton was found in France. When it was rebuilt, the scientists constructed it so the skeleton slouched badly. Its hands hung below its knees. This suggested Neanderthals slouched like apes when they walked. Years later, it was discovered that the scientists purposely recreated the skeleton so that it slouched, even though it was not correct. However, the idea of Neanderthal man as a slow-witted ape was already set. As of today, the bones of more than 400 Neanderthals have been found. Okay, and they have a diagram here. All right, So they tried to make it like Neanderthals were these like ape-like caveman type creatures on purpose for some reason, but they weren't. They were not slow. They were not dumb. All right. So this paragraph is really good, talking about how they developed and proof that they were not unintelligent. Right. Signs of culture. Neanderthal sites have been found all over Europe and parts of Asia. The sites show that Neanderthals were civilized people. Recent research shows that Neanderthals were the first humans to wear clothes. They controlled fire and developed tools. They hunted meat for food. Neanderthals were also skilled in sewing and stitching. They used needles that were made of bone. Okay, so Neanderthals did many things that showed they had signs of culture. This For this next question, which of these were examples of that showed that they had signs of culture? Okay. In 2009, researchers in southern Spain dug up a large number of painted shells and beads made by Neanderthals around 50,000 years ago. Homo sapiens did not reach that part of Europe until 10,000 years later. The beads were made of fine clay. The Neanderthals would have had to create this clay and heat it in an oven like modern pottery. All right. So, what's another example from this paragraph that shows that Neanderthals had culture and were creative? Right. Okay. Last paragraph for this section. Unlike other early peoples, Neanderthals buried their dead. Some did lay flowers on graves, but there's no evidence of rituals or ceremony. Some think they buried the dead to remove the bad smell. That's probably a good idea. As far as researchers know, no other early humans treated the dead this way. Okay, so again, what's another sign that Neanderthals were cultured and not just, you know, dumb, unthinking people? That's right. They buried their dead. All right, Neanderthals today. Neanderthals seem to have disappeared long ago, but traces of them are found in modern day humans. Recent evidence suggests that Homo sapiens and Neanderthals share a common ancestor that lived about 500,000 years ago. The same research shows that most people living today share a link with Neanderthals through DNA structure. Researchers are learning more about the mystery of Neanderthals every day. Okay, so after reading the first source, what I would do if, when you're doing this on your own, is I would go back to, okay, we're focusing on the development of Neanderthal people. So then you could scan through again and you could see through this first source all the different ways that Neanderthal people developed and things that they did. All right. So, last question for today. Again, how are some ways that Neanderthals showed development? All right. Okay, let the video play till the very end so you can get grades and you get credit for this, and we'll go